TJ Hawkinson.
Let's get Hawkinson going.
J.J. McCarthy's third of the day, 16 of 23 for $163, but 3 find the end zone as the Vikings snap a 4-game losing streak and tally their largest shutout victory since 1980, 31 points. Here they hang on the Commanders, who suffer another loss as their losing streak continues. Their largest shutout loss since 1961, an 8th consecutive loss overall. All right, back with the Mac, and maybe it's not the loss of the game, but again, the loss of Jayden Daniels that begs question and offers concern here. We could do the whole why is he in the football game thing, but what'd you see in his performance when he was out there prior to injury?
Seemed to be a bit rusty. The chemistry, the rhythm was not there. Not surprised because he's missed so much time in his second year in the National Football League. So reps are very, very important. But he faced off against a defense, a team in totality in the Minnesota Vikings who they were in a desperate mindset. You know, seeing what hasn't been going well for them, especially on the defensive end led by Brian Flores. They wanted to make things difficult for him, and that's what they did. You saw the coverage in. They had guys moving around, not really showing Jayden what they were doing, but also manipulating the concept in the back end. And, of course, bringing some games with the guys that put their hands in the dirt. The Flores they got things going that harassed and touched up Jayden Daniels quite a bit in this ball game.
Rookie quarterback, sophomore quarterback, veteran quarterback. It's going to be exotic looks. It's going to be hard to identify pre-snap, and that bears itself here in this Minnesota defense that finally, as you said, gives us the performance that we thought we were going to get throughout this year. We asked the question during the initial injury for Daniels, why is he out there? That game was all but gone. The season's all but gone now, and I get why you put him out there on this day with about a quarter of the season, still a month of the season left, let's call it, but moving forward, we will ask the question again, does he belong on the football field at this point in the season for the Commanders?
I mean, if he's cleared and he's healthy, he can go. Yes, he needs reps. He needs to be out there with his team. He is the leader of this ball club. But if there's some issues or concerns about the status or the severity of these injuries moving forward, then you got to be very, very cautious. Let's go back, Joe, and think about how the injury surfaced. Remember, it was a game that was already out of reach. Late in the fourth quarter, he still was involved.
That the coach led us to believe there was no pull option on, and he pulled the football, putting himself in harm's way when maybe the play call hadn't.
Exactly. So seeing how they handled that situation weeks ago and now seeing him being involved, I'm not surprised. But like I said, if the medical staff says he's healthy, he's prepared, he's ready to go, he can't cause any more harm to that elbow injury, no question. Today what we saw was just trying to make a play. He got pushed down, and it happens in the ball game. He fell on that same injured elbow, went back to the sideline. So hopefully he's okay, because I think regardless of their playoff hopes being dead right now, you want to continue to see development from your young quarterback, especially as the season ends if he's cleared and ready to go.
The question is, what will he be surrounded with this season and moving on? Zach Ertz suffers what looked like a serious injury, carted to the locker room, and he's getting to the end of his wick in his NFL life as well. It's an aging defense on the other side. Lots of question marks moving forward for Washington. A quick thought here on the performance of J.J. McCarthy. Again, 16 of 23, $163, 3 touchdowns. Not necessarily blowing you away in terms of yardage and completions, but for a team that had more turnovers than points in his absence over the last 2, this was a welcome sight to see for Minnesota.
For Skol Nation, this was a sigh of relief. Watching J.J. McCarthy, the volume wasn't really there in yards thrown, 163, but 3 touchdowns. The efficiency in the red zone was there. And this is something you've been wanting for some time now, because the last few outings that we saw when J.J. McCarthy was in the lineup was an individual that looked like the moment was a little too big for him in this offense. The offense wasn't clicking. They couldn't do anything right. But today, he got things going. I love seeing the tight ends being involved. Oliver, TJ Hawkinson. You know, we're still waiting for Justin Jefferson. But even though Justin Jefferson wasn't really involved in the game plan for whatever reason, they still found ways to put up 30-plus points. And he did what he needed to do in the red zone, 3 touchdowns. So this was a great performance for J.J. McCarthy. And most importantly, he walked away healthy. That's also been a concern, the inability to stay upright and stay in the lineup.
2 receptions for 12 yards for Justin Jefferson, his 8th consecutive game under 100 yards, only targeted 4 times. No. It's a win. It's a 31-0 win. So, but with playoffs no longer at the forefront of their mind, get my guy involved. Teams to be shut out one week and shut out an opponent the next since the merger the Vikings, the first to do it since 1990.
Being ruled out, he came in today's game already dealing with a fracture in his fibula. Now Riley Leonard is in at quarterback for the Colts, and as you can see here, it's not going that great. Jags up 21-7. As you can see there, both of these teams tied at 8-4. This game would, of course, decide who takes the lead in the division. And without Daniel Jones, it is looking a little bit bleak here. But let's go ahead and welcome in our guys from the With the First Pick podcast. We got Rand Carthon in studio with me and Ryan Wilson as well. And of course, we have to talk about this, Rand. What a huge bummer for the Colts. They've been having an incredible season. Daniel Jones has been playing his you-know-what off, and now we're looking at an Achilles.
Yeah, man, this is just really unfortunate. For them to come into this game, he already had the fractured left fibula, as you spoke about, and now to have the non-contact right Achilles injury is what it appears to be. And just his reaction, slamming the helmet down, kind of let you know where it was. So it's just an unfortunate situation for them. And now the young fellow Riley Leonard has to come in and do his best to keep this thing afloat. The race in the AFC South had already gotten tight, and it was becoming a tight race, especially with the Houston Texans emerging as a team that's starting to go on a run. But as we can see here, it's already 21-7. You're playing in a rain game, and so the surface is going to be slick, which now puts the Indianapolis Colts in a really tough position because now they're chasing points the rest of the game, and the game is really going to come on the shoulders of the young Riley Leonard.
Yeah, this is terrible news because we talked about Daniel Jones and the amazing things he had done since arriving in Indianapolis. They started at 7-1. Excuse me, I'm a little sick and a little choked up that DJ is now apparently done for the year. But the other thing I want to talk about is this, and Rand, I'm going to throw it back to you in a second with a question. But when they drafted Riley Leonard, my first thought was, okay, they got someone halfway between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones because Riley Leonard's a fantastic athlete. Struggles a little bit with accuracy coming out of Duke and then when he transferred to Notre Dame. But I think if any coach is equipped to handle Riley Leonard early, it's going to be Shane Steichen because of the experience with AR5 and, of course, what he's been able to do turning things around with Daniel Jones. Look, they're 8-4. The season's not over. It's far from over. You got to make chicken salad out of you-know-what right now with Riley Leonard and just keep him calm, let him win with his legs, rely on Jonathan Taylor, and hope that defense can get some wins for you. The question I have for you guys, though, is do you extend Daniel Jones now? Because he was so integral to the success they had up to the very moment that he got hurt. That this is a question that GM Chris Ballard is going to have to figure out right quick here with the end of the season, 6 weeks away or so.
Ryan, that's brutal. That's a brutal question to ask. He's not even in the boot yet, and you're worried about getting him at a cheaper rate.
That's why he's so choked up over there.
Getting him at a cheaper rate already, Ryan. That's just wrong. That's just wrong. But, you know, business is business, and so it'll be a conversation that'll be had here over the next couple of weeks as to just in terms of when to start. For all we know, they could have already started negotiations. Now, that would be the trick, is if you've already started negotiations, where did the negotiations go from here? And like you said, with an injury such as an Achilles, we've seen guys like Aaron Rodgers take an additional year to return from the Achilles injury. So it just in terms of the overall contract status, I guess that will remain to be seen. But one would have to think up until this point that they want him back.
Yeah.
And I've always felt like that number was going to be in that Sam Darnold range, which I think Achilles, good or bad, is going to still fall in that same range.
It's just such a bummer to look at this team. But one thing I will say, and, you know, the 49ers now are favorited against, or over, I should say, the Colts in that matchup coming up off of the bye. Does that make sense to you when you look at this 49er squad going up against a team with the Colts and no Daniel Jones?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And like Ryan said, with Riley Leonard coming in, Shane Steichen's going to have to completely adjust the way he's calling his offense at this point. Because like Ryan said, Steichen has experience in being able to cater to a running quarterback. But this is the best we've seen an Indianapolis Colts offense under Shane Steichen look, because you had a Daniel Jones that can do everything that Shane Steichen truly wants to do. And now you're going to have to revert to what you were doing before with Anthony Richardson, with the young fella Riley Leonard.
Yeah, and as you can see here, a chance to win the division based on this Week 14 results. With the Colts go to a 58% with a win, down to 15% with a loss. You got to think, Rand and Ryan here, this 15% seems more likely after what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I would say I would agree. And like Ryan was saying, now it's going to fall on the shoulders of Jonathan Taylor. So guess what teams are going to do? They're going to put 8 in the box, sometimes 9, and say, guess what, Riley Leonard, you have to beat us, whether it's with your legs or with your arms. And if you do, kudos, congratulations, but it won't be Jonathan Taylor that will beat us.
And one thing I will say, Ryan Wilson, as we look at this, you saw that the Texans, they're just one game behind. Does the Texans become a little bit more interesting now down the stretch if we're looking at the Colts without Daniel Jones?
Oh, absolutely. Especially given the way they played against the Bills, and they just absolutely shut down Josh Allen, primarily on the shoulders of that defense, because we talked about coming back, the quarterback coming back from the concussion injury. He looked a little rusty at first, so the offense is going to continue to get its legs. The defense is playing out of its mind. And the defense, just to go back quickly to the Colts, is another concern because the Colts gave a first-round pick for Sauce Gardner because they felt they were in position to make a legit move and playing in January and winning some games throughout the playoffs, and now that's sort of hitting the reset button. So it absolutely opens things up for the rest of the division. I actually feel